You'll get there, Papa. You'll get there. But here we go. Spawning in the top left-hand corner of side Delta, we have our blue Protoss player. Oh, my God. We have our blue Protoss player from South Korea, representing himself, currently teamless, but deserving to be on the team. It is one of our two finalists. We have NightMare. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Terran player representing Team Little Fairy. It is KeeN. The commander himself returning from a hiatus and returning after many, many years here on Sparkling Tuna Cup. It is great to see him here once again after so many years. And he's made it all the way to the grand finals. Can he take another championship for himself, or will it fall in the hands of NightMare? Here we go. And if you're in the chat, predictions are open. You can place your bets on who you believe is going to be this week's champion. Will it be our Terran or our Protoss? Up to you to decide. Predictions. Oh. Predictions open. Predictions open. Oh. As we do see KeeN going for a more economic opener. Once again, I mean, every game so far in TVPs, we've seen KeeN go for a Rax Expand. Standard economic opener out of our Terran player. Meanwhile, NightMare back at home, going for his own Gate Cybercore setup here into a Nexus. No shenanigans here in the early game so far, but as we saw in the previous game, NightMare is more than willing to cheese it up and to be hyper-aggressive, to be in the face of the Terran player. Now, what I will say as well is that NightMare has some killer PvT. He has some of the best PvT in the world right now. If you've been watching the most recent KSLs and ESL Open Cups and Kung Fu Cups, then you would be aware that NightMare has been popping off. He has been taking down players of the caliber of Cure, of Bjorn, on a much more regular basis as of late. It's been very impressive to see his PvT. So I have to favor NightMare. I have to favor NightMare coming into this. But at the same time, KeeN is still a bit of an enigma. He returned yesterday. He returned last night to competitive play after a good, 6-month hiatus. So it's great to see KeeN returning to form, KeeN back. And what I will say as well, regardless if KeeN wins or falls, whether he thrives or whether not, what I will say is that I'm sure over the next couple of weeks, over the next couple of months, KeeN is going to be improving quite quickly and quite heavily here in StarCraft. I'm sure that's one of the big reasons why KeeN signed up tonight, is so he can shake the rust off. He's shaking off all the rust, he's preparing here to get back into competitive form. He's ready to compete once again. Meanwhile, Adept shades in, gets a full scout, delays that starport as well, not too bad. Good pick up here by NightMare, getting and focusing down some of these SCVs, gets 2. Does manage to shade away. Even almost getting that Reaper. But does back off. Important to point out here that KeeN is going for a 1-1-1, going for reactor and marine production into its eventual medevac. Back at home, it's going to be a Twilight Council into Blink opener out of NightMare. And here come the gateways. We have 2 gateways in the main base. We have 2 gateways at the natural. You know what this is? A 4-gate Blink. Finally, over the course of today's broadcast, we have not actually had 4-gate Blink. We've had 3-gate Blink and even 2-gate Blink, even 1-gate Blink. We had 1-gate Blink into a fast third. Geralt did that earlier today. It was crazy. But finally, 4-gate Blink Stalkers has arrived. This is one of the more aggressive builds that Protoss can go for here. That's a little bit more mainstream, a little bit more commonplace. With this, NightMare can be hyper-aggressive, can vie for map control, and can threaten the bases of KeeN. Meanwhile, KeeN is pushing out with a drop. Oh my god. He's moving out with everything he has. A full medevac drop here, full of Marines. Cyclone, Heli, and Reaper as well to support. Rallying everything across the map. Second Cyclone on the way. Now remember, there's no stim. There's no stim with this, and because NightMare went for so many gateways, he has that many more weapons available. Like NightMare, he should be able to keep up with this and shut it down. And NightMare, he collapses on this, almost a full 360 surround. Oh my god! Yeah, the Stalkers, we collapse on KeeN, we shut down the army, and what's terrifying is that we're going for a counterattack. Once we clean this up, we're going for a massive counterattack. Good juggling here with the Cyclones. Medevac getting low. Yeah, the Medevac gets sniped. These Stalkers getting low themselves, though. The juggling from KeeN was pretty insane. He did well for himself. Looking at the trades, he got 3 Stalkers for 6 Marines and a Medevac. Going for the Prism as well. Oh! And the Prism goes down! Oh my god, the Prism barely goes down as well. Big pick off there by KeeN. And back at home, he's getting ready. We have a tank on the low ground, a bunker as well. The main base is more exposed, but we do not have high ground vision. We dive on the tank. NightMare, he's sending it. Dives on the tank, bleeds out a lot of Stalkers. The bunker putting in a lot of work. As NightMare has to retreat at the same time across the map. Liberator sieges up, 7 probes go down. KeeN, he's not going down without a fight, and he does so much in that counterattack. 7 probe kills, NightMare forced to expand. The aggression of NightMare has ended, and KeeN has held. KeeN has held. You can see NightMare trying to bait out that tank shot, but yeah, it's not going to work. It's not going to work out here for NightMare. As again, he's trying to transition back at home. Bearing in mind the 4-gate blink was not all in, but it was still committed, and NightMare did not do enough with it. Did not do enough with his 4-gate blink. Now going into a delayed third, into his own Colossus production. Charge is on the way. Gateway explosion behind it. Going to be 8 gateways in total. KeeN looking secure. KeeN looking quite secure here, as he's already got his own 3rd CC up, soon to be running. Observer does confirm. The Observer slips in. We get eyes on the CC. KeeN also spots the Observer as well. Chasing it back. Scan reveals a 3rd base, reveals a Colossus production, so now KeeN knows it's not Storm. Knows to be ready here for Colossus instead. As KeeN is pushing, though, NightMare going to be blinking into the main. Does blink in, and nothing in the main base. CC is exposed. We're going for combat shields, but it does finish in time, just barely. Marines, they were in position. We force a recall. And KeeN, he holds, and he can break out. NightMare, we're going to move out first. Again, he does have an Observer parked on top of the army, outside the natural. Ooh, it is spotted though. Gonna pick up by KeeN. Gets the Observer. We're gonna move out. Runs into the army. Ooh, NightMare lying in wait. The tanks are unsieged. Yeah, 1 tank goes down. Yeah, big pig off. We get a tank. We get a medevac. Marines are on the run. And KeeN is stuck in his natural. We can go for the 3rd. KeeN just locked away. Yeah, just locked away from his own 3rd base. Zoned away even. And we can shut down those SCVs. Tank trying to reposition. NightMare coming in with reinforcements. He has the high ground. Pushing up a ramp into Colossus is not working well here for KeeN, and he's going to lose everything. The Marines, the Marauders, the SCVs. GG gets called, and NightMare takes game number 1. Whew. GG, Bobby. GG. Oh my god. GG, well played. Again, that was quite a back and forth here. NightMare had his moments. KeeN had his moments as well. Was very back and forth, but it was unfortunate that even though KeeN killed and sniped that Observer, NightMare saw enough, and NightMare was waiting for the army. He was waiting just outside of vision with his Colossus, with his Stalkers, and KeeN walked into it. KeeN, he just ended up stumbling upon the army. NightMare was ready. KeeN was not, losing a tank immediately, and KeeN was on the run. NightMare took advantage of him and takes the first game. GG, well played. Whew, that's our first game in the books. But that was merely the first of many. It's a best of 5. Plenty more games ahead of us. Plenty more games to come. I'm ready. I'm excited for the rest of this series. Let's go. here we go. As game number 2 is going to be on Ghost River. Oh, interesting. Okay. Vamos, Matthew, vamos. As spawning in the top right hand corner of Ghost River, we have our South Korean Protoss player, the Red Protoss, representing himself, currently teamless, deserving to be on a team, leading the series 1-0. It is NightMare. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have the South Korean Terran player, the Blue Terran, representing Team Little Fairy. It is KeeN. Down in this series, but again, that last game was more of a back and forth, wasn't completely one-sided by any means. Probe does arrive a little bit sooner than normal because the rush distance by ground on Ghost River is insanely short. Very short rush distance by ground. The probe gets here a little bit sooner. Rax is off center, but of course it can be lifted, can be repositioned, as NightMare is being as annoying as possible. Being as annoying as possible. Hello, Chase. It's the Chase. Aye, aye, aye. And Probe just keeping tabs on him. NightMare back at home going for... Oh my god, I just realized the kind of setup that we had. Wait, what's going on? Interesting. So we have a gate set up on the low ground with a cyber core a little bit further back. Intriguing. Okay. I mean, I guess we're not going to be opting to wall off the Reaper cliffs here. They are going to be left open. I mean, to be fair, KeeN, I mean, he's not going for a Reaper Marine into Reactor here. So not too important to wall off the Reaper cliffs. Yeah, setting up a wall here on the low ground, going for a gate cyber expand. But yeah, this is a setup that I'm just not quite used to. And it is going to make scouting the tech a little bit more awkward depending on where the tech gets thrown down. Zealot has arrived, delaying the CC. Swiping away at that worker. Oh, even forcing a cancel in the bunker. And here we go, the Stalker has arrived. This is a pretty rough start for KeeN. Behind this is going for a 3-racks. Uh-oh. You know what that means? That means that there's no Cyclone on the way. There's no Hellions to support. Yeah, boys, they have to be pulled. In this situation, we have Vanilla Marines, so far good target firing at a NightMare. Rocks up with the second Stalker, he's snibbling out of control. He can focus on the Marines. One goes down, second goes down, third Marine goes down as well. GG gets called, we snowball out of control, and NightMare with his opener takes game number 2. Ay, 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 GG, well played. Game 2 in favor of NightMare. 1 game away from claiming the entire series. That was a rough game. Basically what happened there is because of how short the rush distance is by ground. It's a very short rush distance by ground. Insanely short. You can reinforce very quickly. You can reinforce insanely quickly on that map. Not just that, but if you remember, KeeN had to delay his Rax production because he had to lift it up. Remember, it was misplaced, so he had to lift it, had to re-land it. He went Marine into Reactor. His bunker, unfortunately, wasn't done in time. Why wasn't that done in time? Because the army gets there a little bit sooner as well. Like, all these, like, little seconds, all these little moments of efficiency here. Or, like, the corners that are cut and the shorter rush distance that allows you to be more aggressive here on Ghost River. It all just came to a head, and GG, that was crazy. And again, unfortunate that it was a 1-1-1. Sorry, that it was a 3-backs. Unfortunate that it wasn't a 1-1-1. Otherwise, we would have had a Cyclone, and GG. GG. It was over before it really began, and now we're getting into game 2. We're done with game 2. We're getting into game 3, and spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have our South Korean Protoss player leading the series 2-0. It is NightMare. 1 more game is all he needs, and spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Terran player, the Blue Terran, representing Team Little Fairy. It is KeeN. He needs to fight back here and now. That was a rough game 2, and I don't want game 2 to like to sway things too heavily against him, to really give us a bad impression of KeeN, because game 1 was impressive. Remember, game 1 was very back and forth. It was at some moments, you know, in favor of NightMare and others in favor of KeeN. Game 1 was a much more impressive display from KeeN. Game 2, less so. Now here we're getting into game 3. NightMare is looking for proxies, checking for Raxes. I don't blame him. But it also makes sense winding it back a little bit, because now it's all coming together, like we're putting the pieces of the puzzle together. The reason why NightMare had the gateway on the low ground was, again, to reduce the rush distance by ground even longer, or I mean to make it even shorter, I should say. To make the rush distance even shorter. Not necessarily a proxy gateway, but again, every second counts, as we saw. Every second does count, and that was wild. It's a wild game. From here, KeeN going for a Rax expand on the low ground. Bunker is on the way. This time we're going for a Reaper first. Reaper moves out. Reaper is moving out across the map. NightMare back at home, soon to be going for his tech of choice. I imagine a Twilight Council again. No reason not to. But we'll see. We shall see. As Reaper confirms the low ground setup, it is going to be a Twilight Council behind this on the high ground. Next to the Cybercore. KeeN doesn't commit, he doesn't dip in. So he is going to be zoned away by the Adept. So far, no scout by KeeN behind this. This time, he's not going for a 3 Rax, he's going for a 1-1-1. Or at least a Rax into factory setup. And followed by the starport. Oh, and we're even setting up towards a mine drop. Okay. Something we don't see too often anymore. Again, the Widow Mine was nerfed in the most recent patch, and mine drops have since been far less popular in PvP. Reaper, the main, goes down. But I believe we got a full scout off, and KeeN, yep, he did get eyes on the Twilight Council. He saw it researching. He knows he's not Dark Templar. Is aware. Interesting, as we did go for a Widow Mine, but we're going for an add-on swap here instead. We're going for Cloak Banshees. Okay. We're not going for a mine drop, just a safety Widow Mine here for KeeN. No additional Widow Mines. Meanwhile, NightMare is going to be aggressive. How many gateways? We have 2 gates on the way. We have 1 gateway already done. 3-gate blink from NightMare. As we mentioned before, this is going to be enough to maintain map control while we expand. It's a way to contain, as we do bleed out a couple Marines. It is a little bit concerning. Tank production has commenced. Did NightMare see the tech lab? He did not. NightMare is in the dark. Not aware what's going on. Not aware of the Cloak Banshees. We do have detection. Observer is done. 3rd base soon to be taken. There we go. 3rd base is on the way. Base is going to be on the way here for NightMare as he is containing his opponent. KeeN still building up here on 2 bases. Banshees have yet to reveal themselves. We have the 1 Banshee skirting around the edge of the map, working its way towards the main. As NightMare does get eyes on the 3rd CC, the rest of the production as well. Here comes that Banshee into the main. You manage to get a couple of workers. 2, 3 probes going to be going down. 4 probes even. I'll get a 5th. Do force the recall. Observer does make it back. 5 worker kills, and the Banshee survives. Pretty good damage so far. Very nice damage here by KeeN. And again, he forces the recall, which means he can break out, he can expand. Third base cannot be taken. And NightMare cannot contest that third. Not right now. Not anymore. Depth Shades in. Across the map, the Banshee getting even more damage done. Let's go. That's the second Banshee. First one is still parked outside the main. Second gets 2 more probe kills. Is forced out of the natural. But as NightMare's trying to settle back down, he's working towards charge. Prism is on the way. How many gateways do we have, by the way? 7 gates. And NightMare has not taken his gases. At least not at his third. So we are pushing. NightMare is going to be moving out. With the Warp Prism, with Zealot reinforcements. External lens, Thermal Lance is finishing. Banshee is spotted. And can NightMare break this third? I mean, we have some decent Sim City. We have a turret, Widowmine, 2 tanks in position. Marines are moving out. They're running into the Colossus. Ooh. Yeah, KeeN was not aware. Leads out a couple of Marines. Getting in position. NightMare rotating around. We're still waiting for another big warp in. Interesting. NightMare actually going for a drop. Bold move, but it looks like he's headed to the main. And NightMare, he comes back home with his Colossus. Okay, that makes sense. I was like, is he really going to push in with a handful of units in a Colossus? No, no, no. He's turning back around. He's only being active with his Stalkers. He has Blink, of course. Will manage to get away. As he's dragging away the attention of KeeN, he comes in with a Prism. Does dive in with the Warp Prism. And we can see a massive warp into the main base. Doesn't go for it though. And we have reinforcements. Enough at least. To force NightMare back. NightMare warping it back at home instead. We do have some High Templar. Storm is almost done. NightMare does back off. And doesn't reinforce. He doesn't go for another warp in. He's just coming back home. Okay. He's respecting KeeN's position. Doesn't want to mess with it. And to be fair, I mean, KeeN is fortifying this position quite hard. We've got depots on the way, bunkers, CC as well. We have a wall protecting this tank. Like, there's no breaking this. And NightMare should be working on his own fourth. There it is. Fourth base now on the way. Rockstar being knocked down. As NightMare moves out, KeeN is moving in towards a fourth, looking for a cancel. There's a cancel on the Nexus. NightMare trying to catch this army. But once again, as NightMare is being distracted by this drop, KeeN pushing on the right-hand side. He's going to be threatening that natural. You can see NightMare responding with at least his Colossus. Trying to keep up here. The drop does push in. Do we have any storms? Ooh, one High Templar goes down. Big pick off. But the drop does pick up. Another High Templar falls. No storms. They're finally coming in. We get some decent storms on this drop, but probes are going down. Drop into the main is denied. But this push at the natural did do quite a bit of damage. And KeeN comes back in. Gets another High Templar. Gets another, but ooh, it's going to cost him a lot. As he does lose some of those medevacs. And now can KeeN survive the counterattack? Now, what I will say is that thankfully KeeN killed a lot of High Templar. He denied a lot of storms. We have 4 High Templar here in that Warp Prism. There is no fourth base. NightMare, I'm sure, was hoping for a fourth and he could deny it. But KeeN is still stabilized here on 3 bases with tanks, with EMPs. Again, NightMare is checking for the fourth, sees none, taking his own. Does blink in, gets 2 ghosts. Pretty good. 2 ghosts go down. Now, NightMare shouldn't push into this. Like, he managed to get a couple of units, but he shouldn't be committing. Again, the win condition for NightMare is just to contain. NightMare, he's maxed out. So is KeeN. And here we go. As KeeN tries to take a 4th base, that's going to be the moment for NightMare to strike. KeeN is moving out. NightMare should be moving in. The army is confirmed. Again, this time no tanks in position. KeeN is out in the open. NightMare, he's going for the kill. Show us the storms. And massive storms on the army. The 2 storms get thrown down. Boys are being pulled. And NightMare, I mean, the Vikings, they're going ham on these Colossus. Colossus are going down. And it looks like KeeN, he's barely forcing this back. Does shut down the Colossus, shuts down the Archons as well. Very nicely done. KeeN bleeds out 10 SCVs, but he does take the fight. And now we can go for a big counterattack. Whew. Again, the boys, they did their part. They soaked some damage. Likewise, KeeN, he had some reinforcements coming down the ramp. That was NightMare's moment, but KeeN, he just turned water into wine there. Very nice engage. He's reinforcing. Again, NightMare, he only got 2 storms off as well. And they got 2 storms off. KeeN, his medevacs are very low. Has to be careful. The army blinks in. Good EMP on the High Templar. No more storms. We only had the 1. And KeeN, he's chasing this down. Like, NightMare has a good economy, but he needs warpins. Right now, he needs warpins. He needs Colossus, Disruptors, Storm. He needs all of his splash damage. He's lacking it. NightMare, he's lacking that splash damage, and here comes KeeN. The Vikings are not quite dead supply, but, I mean, thankfully, they're Colossus that are remaking. We had some okay storms. They're okay. We catch some of the Vikings. A much better trade for NightMare. Ooh. This KeeN does bleed out a lot there. He is forced back. NightMare poking in. Tanks have repositioned, which means this 3rd base is that much more vulnerable. Tanks are no longer here. But again, the choke point still working against NightMare, trying to break through. Boys are being pulled. SV's going down. We catch a Colossus. We catch an Archon. Good pickups here by KeeN, as he looks like he barely does not get the final Colossus. Barely does escape. Whew. NightMare, calm down. KeeN leading the charge. With those ghosts, catching 2 more High Templar. Very nicely done. Charge, let's say, dive in. EMP's not quite connecting yet. There we go. There are the storms. We get 2, we get 3. The 4th storm as well. But the Colossus falls. It's only Stalkers, only Zealots. And against the Gateway Army, KeeN, he can just stim and win. As he does break through. Not enough splash damage, not enough AoE. KeeN, he breaks that 5th base. And it looks like KeeN, he's done it. He's putting a point on the board. Let's go. As he breaks that 5th. Again, NightMare, what does he have left? He has a handful of Zealots, a handful of Stalkers. He has two High Templar in that prism. KeeN doesn't know how far ahead he is, but he can keep pushing. 100%. Final storm of NightMare. And KeeN, he can force himself up this ramp towards the base. As you can see, NightMare desperately trying to rebuild those Colossus, but it's not going to happen. KeeN rotating around, going for the 4th. Making sure his win here is secure. Storm on the Marauders. Good pre-split here out of KeeN. Avoiding as much of the storms as he can. Tanks, they have arrived. Those are the 2 tanks from the start of the game, by the way. They've arrived. They've made it. They're holding the line. 1 tank goes down. The Colossus, they've made it. The Colossi are here. But again, the Sea of Terran, it will not be stopped. focus down one of the Colossi. The other barely waddles away, but we have control of the fourth base. GG gets called, and KeeN, he fights back, putting a point on the board, making a series out of this. GG. Let's go. Bobby. GG, well played. We have a series here as KeeN is able to fight back. Again, able to punish NightMare. NightMare maybe I would say he did overextend with his initial push. His initial stalkers wasn't able to get much done. And KeeN able to bounce back there in the end. Able to bounce back, and now we find ourselves in game 4. Let's go. We find ourselves in game number 4. Oh boy, can we even go all the way to the ace match? Can KeeN pull off a reverse sweep? I wasn't really having too much faith, but maybe I should. Maybe I am. KeeN, can he bounce all the way back to game 5 to an ace match? I want to believe. I'm a little bit greedy. I would love to see an extended series. So loading into game number 4 and spawning in the top right hand corner, we have our South Korean Protoss leading the series 2-1. He still is one game away from winning it all and from becoming this week's Sparkling Tuna Cup champion. It is NightMare. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Terran player representing Team Little Fairy. Fighting back, putting a point on the board in that last game on Oceanborn. Can he do it again? Can he do it 2 games in a row? It is KeeN. Let's go. Again, KeeN able to achieve quite a bit with his initial Banshee harass. Pick up some probes. Able to follow that up with some drop play as well, and just dragging NightMare time and time again out of position, creating opportunities for himself. Did all lead to eventually both players maxing out. That's when things were still up in the air. You know, KeeN was maxed, so was NightMare. NightMare cashing the army out in the open, but if you remember, before NightMare was able to cash that army, before he pushed in towards the 4th, NightMare had also lost a lot of High Templar. He had lost 2, or was it? Yeah, it was 3. It was 3 High Templar at his natural, if you remember. And that was huge. Imagine that fight. Imagine that push with 3 more High Templar, with 3 more Storms. That would have been a completely different game. But alas, NightMare did lose them. KeeN was able to survive the push, get into his own counterattack, and get into his game from there. Now we're settling on in. We are settling in. So far, NightMare going for his Gate Cyber Expand, standard opener. Likewise, KeeN going for his own Rax Expand as well. Once again, single gas opener. Has not doubled at all in any kind of double gas play. Not at all. The Reaper does slip in, threatening those workers. It looks like he does get 1 probe. Not bad. 1 probe does go down, dropping towards the natural. Not quite getting a second. Good damage done nonetheless. And oh my god, KeeN rushing into a 3rd CC. That was a 3rd CC before factory. Very greedy build here by KeeN. Very fast 3rd base. Can he get away with it? Can he get away with this greed? Reaper slips in, once again trying to distract NightMare. Adept is moving out. And can we get another probe? Can we get another? We can! Oh my god, that's gonna be what? 2 probes going down. We don't get the 3rd worker, but we do scout the Twilight Council. NightMare, he does confirm. That's the Twilight Council. Adept threatening a shade. But now KeeN is aware, and KeeN should be playing safe from here. I mean, he's already opened up greedily, of course. He's getting into his 3-1-1 setup. Cyclone's on the way. Bunker is done. Behind this, how many gateways do we have? It's going to be Blink and 2 gateways for now. So NightMare, it looks like he's going for a 2-gate Blink opener into a faster third. Something also more economic. As, yeah, there are no additional gateways on the way. So from here, it looks like we might go for a bay first. It's a robo in production, and NightMare has the option to go for a bay before a third base, just to be a little bit safer. Stalkers are moving out. Blink is almost done. NightMare just gaining some map control, trying to get a read on what's going on. Shutting down a Marine. Keeping KeeN in the dark. And I'm still waiting for that bay, or waiting for that third base. We're not mining through the minerals. Stalkers are moving out. Blink is done. Yeah, there we go. Third base is going to be taken. My apologies. Before the third base, we throw down 3 more gateways and a Templar Archives. Okay, interesting. Third is finally thrown down, but we're going into not Colossus like I thought we would. We're going to be going into Storm. Storm's going to be on the way instead. NightMare blinking behind the natural base. Going for some SCVs. Getting 2, getting 3. 3 SCVs go down. Stalkers are forced back. KeeN does hold. But not bad damage there from NightMare, as he didn't lose any of his Stalkers. That's what's important. Didn't lose any Stalkers. Third CC has been taken. Still not quite done yet, but KeeN able to force back the army. Stim finishing up in a couple of seconds, and he can try to chase this down. Oh! Forces out a Blink. And the drop was spotted, by the way. NightMare is on the hunt. Does keep up with the drop. Moving out with his Stalkers. Nothing quite in the main base yet. But again, KeeN was spotted. NightMare, he knows that there's Medivacs out there, and he's, oh god, he's going for it. He's hunting him down. And KeeN, he doesn't know.
Must build more supply depots.
So they're right next to each other. Storm, it's almost done. But NightMare getting to his War Prism. Ooh, Stalkers are in position. We focused out 1 full Medivac. Big pickup. We leave a handful of Stalkers to keep tabs on this second drop. KeeN, thankfully behind this, because of his greedy build, he can afford some of these losses. He can afford a full Medivac like that. Can rebuild, can replace. Vikings underway. +1. Likewise, though, NightMare, he's building up energy on these High Templar. 4 High Templar already. Lots of energy available. Eventually, this should lead into Colossus production, but for now, just Storm. Here we go. NightMare is pushing. And what exactly is he pushing into? We've got the high ground. We have a Widow Mine. Cash out an Observer. Good pickup. NightMare's a little bit more in the dark. He's going in with his Storms, though. Yeah, not for the main army. He's going for a Storm drop for the mineral line. Uh-oh. And NightMare pulls back, and there we go. The Storms at the third base. Oh, my God. And 12 SCVs go down. 15. 15 SCVs falls. I believe that was 4 Storms. That does mean that NightMare is vulnerable to a counterattack, but he does have a backup High Templar. He has 1 Storm back at home. But here comes that counterattack. KeeN, he knows that there aren't that many Storms left. So the run by running into some of those Ghosts. We get 1, we get 2 Ghosts. Good pickups. NightMare catching Ghosts of all things. Zealot's getting into the mineral line. Forcing back the army. Oh, this is a big delay. KeeN turning around for a big moment there. And now enough time has passed. We do have more storms available, not just the one. Good snipe on the first High Templar. We're down to 4. Oh, sorry, down to 6. Chargel's pulling back. Yeah, the other High Templar here towards the right-hand side. And KeeN has to retreat. Cannot contend against all those Zealots. Again, if we had some more Ghosts, if they weren't picked off earlier, then we would have that many more EMPs. That's why it's so important that NightMare was able to pick off those Ghosts earlier. So important. How many Ghosts do we have left? 4. Could have been 6. Oh, look at the storm jump! Once again, massive storms on the army. KeeN gets caught out, and now it's go time. NightMare spills blood in the water. Those were insane storms. And now we can just keep pushing. KeeN caught with his pants down. And that may just be it. We have so many more storms behind this. 4th base being taken. KeeN pinned back. NightMare not pushing out yet. Thinking about it. Rotating around. Keeping his High Templar back. War Prism did get sniped earlier, but it's being rebuilt. And these Vikings, they're not going to touch the Colossus. They all go down, one after the other. Zealots collapsing on the army. Getting on top of the Ghosts. And NightMare, he's overwhelming this. The storms get thrown down, even without them. There was just too much Protoss. Here come the reinforcing Colossus, and it looks like NightMare should have too much. I mean, KeeN's getting on top of the Colossus, gets one of them. He gets one. He can't quite get the other, though. GG gets called. Congratulations, as NightMare will take the series 3-1, becoming this week's Sparkling Tuna Cup champion. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations here to NightMare. She does take the series 3-1. Did have a strong run here tonight. A very strong performance in today's tournament. Didn't drop a map at all leading into the finals, but KeeN did make NightMare bleed. And it was an impressive game as well. KeeN, who was able to fight back in game number 3. Wasn't able to force the ace match, but was a strong showing nonetheless. Congratulations here. For this series to have gone the way that it did, and again, NightMare finally gets his first win in years. Remember, NightMare, he's been quite active in these online tournaments, and time again, there's been a player standing in NightMare's way. That was Cristiano. It was 2 weeks in a row that Cristiano, he knocked NightMare down, and NightMare got 2nd place 2 weeks in a row this season, this year. Did not win at all. The last time that NightMare won a Sparkling Tuna Cup was 2 years ago in 2022. A long time ago. A long time ago, Bobby. Back in 2022. So it's been years, and the King has returned. Likewise, KeeN also hasn't competed in these tournaments in a couple of years as well. So it's great to see him return. Great to see him make it to the finals. Yes, he may not have won, but KeeN, he took down some big names to make it this far. He took down Hon Mono, he took down Eon, took down Geralt as well. Impressive. Impressive stuff. GG, well played. With that, we are going to be wrapping up our initial broadcast for today, but we have another broadcast on the horizon. As you can imagine, World Team League. World Team League began almost an hour ago. Because of that, our coverage of WTL is going to be a little bit delayed. It does mean that our coverage is going to be 1 hour late. We're going to be casting from an hour behind, like, essentially, because we're going to be casting from the beginning, but we are already an hour in. Because of that, if you maybe have been watching alongside, you know, Wardy or some of these other English casters, if you've been watching alongside them, no spoilers. No spoilers in the chat. We're going to be starting from the beginning. Starting from the very beginning. First, we're going to be going on a short break. The stream is going to be going offline for a moment before coming back with WTL overlays. And when it does come back, we're going to be featuring... Who's up first? We're going to be featuring Mystery Gaming versus Basilisk, followed by Team Liquid versus Shopify. It's going to be an amazing night of StarCraft. Look forward to it. Again, it's going to be a great time, I'm sure. We won't have predictions because we're kind of playing with an hour delay. Predictions will not be open because, you know, there are spoilers that exist out there. But regardless, it's going to be a lot of good fun. Going to be a lot of good fun. GG. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Thanks so much for the support. Again, if you want to support this tournament, !Patreon in the chat or !Matcherino in the chat as well. Both commands give you different ways to support this tournament if you wish. If you want to support the Cranky Ducklings, if you want to support all these players, Patreon is the place to be. Otherwise, thank you so much. We'll see you guys in a couple of minutes for some World Team League. See you soon. See you soon, Papi. See you soon.